call our Board of Commissioners meeting to order for May 3rd. Today, our invocation, Pastor Pete, if you'll come on to the podium, is going to be given by Senior Pastor of Adamsville Baptist Church, Pastor Pete Williams. A little history on Pastor Pete. Pastor Pete was the first pastor to have the opening prayer for the United States House after the events of 9/11. He was asked to go there to give that invocation at the invitation of then Congressman Walter Jones. So we're honored to have you today.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you so much. Let's pray. Father, we don't even deserve to bow our heads to ask you to do anything, but Lord, we thank you that you made it possible through your Son, Jesus Christ, that we can ask anything in your name, it shall be done. Lord, we thank you, Lord, that I can stand here in front of these commissioners and, Lord, proclaim that Jesus Christ is Lord of Lords and King of Kings. And, Lord, I thank you, Lord, I can read this big sign where it says, "In God we trust." Thank you, Lord, so much for our leaders here in Wayne County, our commissioners, our sheriff, and all those that are first responders and those that take care of us, Lord. And I just pray a special blessing on each decision that's made today. Lord, we love our county, we love our people, and Lord, we want to see the best for them. And I pray that you'll bless each and every commissioner as they make decisions based on the love they have for their people and for their county, Lord. We thank you, Lord, that we can trust you no matter what. We ask you, Lord, to bless this day, bless this meeting. I pray that everything will be done and said to your glory and to our good. And we'll thank you now for all you do for us. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Pledge allegiance today by Commissioner Gertler.
Rise, face the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we need a motion to approve the minutes of April the 19th.
So move.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Okay, adjustments of the agenda.
Who made the motion? My fault.
I'm sorry. Discussion of the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We do have a couple of additions we would like to add and walk on. Under special presentations, we'd like to add a number 7, recognition of clerk proclamation week, and Commissioner Williams will be reading that proclamation, and appreciate Commissioner Williams bringing that to our attention. And then under consent agenda, we will add budget number 458 for cooperative extension as part of the budget amendments. And then under number 7, resolution in support of Project Berry for a business, a rural division building reuse grant from the North Carolina Department of Commerce. And with that said, that's all I have as addition. I'm sorry, excuse me. We do have, after this meeting, we will have a work session to discuss EMS subscriptions, and we do have a closed session as well.
Okay. I need a motion to approve the agenda.
So move.
All right, we've got a couple of motions there.
Second.
Commissioner Aycock made the motion. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Okay. And now special presentations. Mr. Honeycutt.
First, we have a motion to approve National Law Enforcement Week and National Peace Officers Memorial Day Proclamation, and Vice Chairman Aycock will have the honor of reading that resolution.
And I'm going to ask Sergeant Hooker from the Sheriff's Department if he would join us at the podium. Good morning. Okay.
Whereas in 1962, President John F. Kennedy proclaimed May the 15th as National Peace Officers Memorial Day. and the week in which it fell as National Law Enforcement Week, to pay special attention to those law enforcement officers who have lost their lives in the line of duty for the safety and protection of others. And whereas there are approximately 900,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, including the dedicated members of the Wayne County Sheriff's Office. And whereas since the first recorded death in 1791, more than 20,000 law enforcement officers in the United States have made the ultimate sacrifice and been killed in the line of duty. And whereas National Law Enforcement Week will be observed this year from May the 11th through May the 17th. And whereas law enforcement officers are charged with pursuing justice for all individuals and performing their duties with fidelity to constitutional and civic rights of the individuals that law enforcement officers serve. And whereas resolve law enforcement officers in service of their communities unifyingly despite inherent dangers in the performance of their duties, and the vigilance, compassion, decency of law enforcement officers for the best defense of society against individuals who seek to do harm. And whereas Peace Officers Memorial Day, May 15th, 2022, honors the 609 law enforcement officers who died in the line of duty in 2021, with 24 of those being officers in North Carolina. And whereas during the first 4 months of 2022, 92 law enforcement officers across the United States have made the ultimate sacrifice, with 4 of those being officers in North Carolina. And whereas all citizens of Wayne County should remember and recognize the men and women who serve and protect them, working in the county every hour of every day, ensuring they remain safe. Now therefore be it resolved that the Wayne County Board of Commissioners formally designate May the 11th, 2022 through May the 17th, 2022 as National Law Enforcement Week in Wayne County, and publicly salutes the service of law enforcement officers in our community and in communities across the nation. Adopted this day, the 3rd day of May, 2022. Chairman Joe Daugherty. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And that'd be in the form of a motion?
And that is in form of a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Thank you so much.
All right, it's a pleasure. Thank you.
And thank all of you, for sure. Thank all of your people for what they do. It's a dangerous job and gets more dangerous every day. Thank y'all for what you do.
All right, item 2.
Next is motion to approve 2022 EMS Week Proclamation, and our EMS Director, Dave Cutterback, is here to read that, and we appreciate a lot of staff as well.
Thanks, sir. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Great to see you all. What is my time limit, ma'am? Is it 11?
10 minutes.
10 minutes. Thank you. Whereas emergency medical services is a vital public service, and whereas the members of emergency medical services teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury. And whereas emergency medical services has grown to fill a gap by providing important out-of-hospital care, including preventative medicine, follow-up care, and access to telemedicine. And whereas emergency medical services system consists of first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, emergency medical dispatchers, firefighters, police officers, deputies, educators, administrators, pre-hospital nurses, emergency physicians, trained members of the public, and other out-of-hospital medical care providers. And whereas the members of emergency medical services teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of emergency medical services providers by designating Emergency Medical Services Week now. Therefore, the Wayne County Board of Commissioners, in recognition of this event, do hereby proclaim the week of May 15th through the 21st, 2022 as Emergency Medical Services Week. With the theme, Rising to the Challenge, we encourage the community to observe this week with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities.
Thank you. And we'll need a motion to approve the proclamation.
So
So
moved.
move.
All right, we do have a motion. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by raising your right hand. And thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I may utilize the rest of my 11 minutes.
Tim.
Thank you, sir. If you all would please stand up. Over the past 3 years, Wayne County EMS, the people that take care of the people, have done things that very few, if any, EMS services have done. They have fed the people. They've provided direct and indirect care during the pandemic. They helped to preserve the functionality of our healthcare system, train the citizens to respond to emergencies, and helped hundreds of families following the passing of a loved one. It is truly an amazing group of people that you're looking at today. To end it there would give you only a portion of the story. Each time a citizen was cared for, there was an army of people in the background that made it all possible. I've had the honor of working with various groups throughout my 20-year career in EMS, and I can say without hesitation that Wayne County as a whole truly does have the A-team. For the remaining 5 minutes of our time, I would like to introduce you to a small fraction of the people that take care of the people that take care of the people. If you all would just take a moment to introduce yourself and the department you work with, please. Ms. Nicole.
Nicole Zinsberger, EMS. Karen Braxfield, Wayne County EMS.
Philip Brogdon, Facility Services.
Dean Worley, Facility Services. Ashley Davis, Facility Services.
Kendall Lee, and I have the fortune of being in Facility Services and Chief of Dudley Fire Department. It's an honor to work with you on both fronts.
Joel Gilly, Public Affairs. Alex Westbrook, EMS. Tyler Sanford, EMS. Terry Grant, Medical Director. Jonathan Davenport, Wayne County Sheriff's Office.
Sergeant Hooker, Wayne County Sheriff's Office.
Sarah Larson, Human Resources.
Mr. Ryan.
Ryan Brett White.
Ms. Allison.
Allison Spate, Finance Director.
Ms. Ginger.
Ginger Moore, Human Resources.
Angie Barnes, Wayne County EMS, proudly serve the citizens of the county.
Kelly Carter, Wayne County EMS.
Crystal Harden, Wayne County EMS.
Mr. Parker.
Gordon Parker, one who receives services from them.
Josh.
Josh Smith, EMS, New Hope Fire Department.
Carl Greeno, Wayne County EMS.
April Melrose, Wayne County EMS.
Jessica Tillman, Wayne County EMS.
Rosalie Kyle, Wayne County EMS.
Justin Lewis, Wayne County EMS.
Jason Gray, Wayne County EMS, New Hope Fire Department.
Patricia Ruffin, Facilities Services.
Ashley Dawson, Adult Services Supervisor, Wayne County Department of Social Services.
Mr. Andrew.
Andrew Nell, Staff Attorney.
Mr. Chip.
Chief Butler, City County Manager.
Mr. Craig.
Craig County Manager.
Ms. Carroll.
Carol Bowden,
Clerk to the Board of Commissioners.
Chairman Daughtry, 1 minute to go. Thank you all for everything.
Thank you. Thank you all. Have a great one.
Yes, we'll let y'all get back to work.
Mr. Chairman, if I can say, working in multiple counties, this is not a group of public safety people that you'll ever find.
Thanks.
We agree.
All right, and then item 3.
Item 3 is motion to approve Mental Health Month proclamation as read by Emily Peacock.
Good morning and welcome again.
Good morning. One more time, huh?
10 years.
It's been a while.
It has.
May is Mental Health Month proclamation for 2022. Whereas mental health is essential to everyone's overall health and well-being, and whereas all Americans experience times of difficulty and stress in their lives, and whereas prevention is an effective way to reduce the burden of mental health conditions, and whereas there is a strong research that animal companionship, human spirituality, religion, recreation, social conditions, and work-life balance can help all Americans protect their health and well-being. And whereas mental health conditions are real and prevalent in our nation, and whereas with effective treatment, those individuals with mental health and other chronic health conditions can recover and lead full, productive lives. And whereas each business, school, government agency, healthcare provider, organization, and citizen share the burden of mental health problems and has a responsibility to promote mental wellness and support prevention efforts. Now, therefore, the Wayne County Board of Commissioners does hereby proclaim May 2022 as Mental Health Month in Wayne County. We call upon the citizens, government agencies, public and private institutions, businesses and schools in Wayne County to recommit our community to increase awareness and understanding of mental health, the steps our citizens can take to protect their mental health, and the need for appropriate and accessible services for all people with mental health conditions.
Thank you. And I need a motion to approve.
So move.
All right, we have a motion on the floor to approve. Any discussion on the motion?
I would like, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry.
Oh, yes, please.
Ms. Peacock, thank you for this. I think this has become very apparent with the issues that are going on with mental health. It's, of course, we just lost Naomi Judd from mental health, and I was watching a documentary about her last night and some of the things that she was going through. And it's all over everywhere, and it's very scary to think that this problem is existing now and just being brought forth. And thank you for helping us keep this out front.
And
yes,
Speaker, I'd like to just make one comment here. Wayne County has a serious mental health problem, not only with the juveniles, but all walks of life, homeless, no matter what. And unfortunately, we don't have the professionals we need in this county to address the problem.
There is a shortage of providers, whether for the school setting or for private individuals.
Yes, ma'am.
There's also a shortage of how do you pay for services. So not everybody has that ability to pay.
Exactly.
And this past 2 years have been accentuated the problem. Anxiety, depression, and other issues that have been brought, they've always been there, but now they have really been accentuated.
Exactly.
So the Mental Health Association is a volunteer group trying to promote wellness, mental health wellness in the community, but there are limitations.
Exactly.
We do have activities scheduled. We try to do informational sessions. There's one each Thursday this month that will help people understand. But the thing we want you to know, it's all right to reach out for help. It's nothing wrong with looking for help. Whether it's telehealth, which has helped my family, I never thought I would be able to say that, but it has, or whether we can do it individually. So thank you for your support, because we know it is an ever-going problem, and it has not gone away and will not until we can reach out and provide better resources. Thank you for that.
And Ms. Peacock, one of the problems is that when you reach out, who do you reach out to?
Yeah.
And,
right.
And when you're in a crisis mode, per se, it's pick up the phone.
Well,
we don't have yellow pages anymore.
Well, we do have this number down here. You can call.
I definitely will. Thank you,
Okay,
ma'am.
thanks. And I'd like to introduce some of our board members with me today. And I do appreciate the support of our board, and we have here, but we have do have Ms. Deans and Bobby here to represent us also. So thank you.
Ms. Peacock, can you read the number out because people may not be able to see it. Can you just read it
Okay,
out?
right. The number that she would reach out for East Point is 800-913-6109. And the suicide hotline number is 1-500-273-8255. I will leave some of these posters here if people will take them and to their businesses, to their churches, to wherever, so people can have this information. We would appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. Peacock.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
as Commissioner Aycock pointed out, this does not discriminate. I mean, it doesn't make any difference what gender, what race, what monetary status you are. It does not discriminate. I mean, this is, and this is serious. And I can probably go out on a limb and say about every family that's represented in this room today at some point has had somebody that has had some issues, because this is, and Lord, I don't have the answer, but someone out there does.
Well, we have to work on it together. That's the thing, right?
All right, we do have a motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion indicate by raising your right hand. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Peacock.
Look forward to seeing you next year.
I hope I'm still here.
I do too. All right, next.
Next is a motion to approve Drug Court Month proclamation. And I know Ms. Haddad is not here, so.
Good morning,
Good
everyone.
morning. Good morning.
Ms. Haddad had a family emergency. I'm Colleen Kaczynski. I'm the administrator for the Adult Drug Court. And this is Jen Eichhorn, who is the case coordinator for the Family Drug Court. And we're both here, and thank you for allowing us to come and present to you this morning. So our proclamation, I'm going to have to hold it a little closer. My eyes aren't as they used to be. Whereas Drug Treatment Court uses a team of court and community professionals to help ensure that offenders who are addicted to drugs and/or alcohol receive intensive treatment they need to become healthy, law-abiding, and productive family and community members. And whereas drug treatment courts have been restoring lives and families for more than 3 decades, there are more than 4,000 treatment courts nationwide that have served an estimated 1.5 million individuals. And whereas drug treatment courts can significantly improve substance use disorder treatment outcomes, substantially reduce addiction and related crimes, and do so at less expense than other criminal justice strategies. And whereas treatment courts facilitate community-wide partnerships, bringing together public safety and public health professionals. And whereas there are currently 26 counties across North Carolina where there are operational adult drug treatment courts. And whereas the County of Wayne recognizes the vital contributions and reforms that drug treatment courts have brought to our justice system, now, therefore, the Wayne County Board of Commissioners does hereby proclaim May 2022 as Drug Court Month in Wayne County and commend to its observance to all citizens. Adopted this 3rd day of May 2022 by Joe Doughty, the chairman, Wayne County Commissioners.
Great. All right, and a motion?
So moved.
So moved. All right, we have a motion on the floor. Any discussion on the motion?
Mr. Chairman, if I may say
Sure.
one thing real quick. Number one, I would just like to say thank you guys so much for recognizing this. Our team works really hard, and I'm very honored to work for Judge Heath and this program. All of us have either been affected with our family with someone in substance use or in the community, and this program in the last couple years with everything going on, substance use has skyrocketed, and now there is fentanyl that we're having to deal with also. So we are very appreciative of you guys helping support us and trying to help people that are going through recovery and reunifying families.
Thank you.
Okay, motion on the floor. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. We are having a graduation ceremony on May 17th. I believe an invitation has been sent. I'd really like to encourage y'all to consider attending. We have 5 families or parents who have been through our drug court program who will be graduating from our drug court. The graduation is going to be in Kinston. These will be families who will be reunited with their children. So their children will not be in the foster care system any longer. The kids will get to spend their summers with their parents, their Christmases, their future, because their parents have overcome their drug addiction and now are making that choice that they can be with their children. And it's going to be an opportunity for us also to share the progress we've made in establishing the adult drug court here in Wayne County, because we're really excited about that. We've also finished writing the grant that we're applying for to bring the program to the entire district. And so there's a lot of exciting things we'll be talking about. And that's going to be on the 17th at 1 o'clock at St. Mary's Church in Kinston. And so if any of you can come, we'd really encourage you to come. And at any point in time, if you'd like more information, my office is here on the 2nd floor, and I'd love to talk with each and every one of you. We're so excited and appreciate the support that you've provided to us. So thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Okay. Next.
Next, number 5 is a presentation by Lakeisha Peaton on the Vision of David program.
Good morning.
Good morning. Oh, that's just information. Thank you. I'm not much of a speaker. I'm actually introverted, but I'm here today because I felt a need to come. It's been on my heart to come before you guys for a while, but I prolonged it. But today, after hearing briefly some of the concerns vocalized in the last meeting that you had, I wanted to make you all aware of our services. The Vision of David was founded by me. I used to work for Wayne County and Lenoir County detention centers. After working in Wayne County, as well as Lenoir, I couldn't help but notice, which prompted me to start a program that didn't just involve adults, but also juveniles and reentry as a whole, as a family involvement, because when you're in there, you see a mom that may be incarcerated as well as a daughter. You see brothers. I've witnessed, where there was 3 brothers in one jail, all in there for charges like, that involved murder or attempted murder. So you can't ignore the fact that it's, like I've mentioned before, a family affair. It's a family issue, and it needs to be focused on at the root of it. Of course, you see, we're aware that poverty, is a concern, but you can't ignore that. You can't help a child and not help the parent. You give these children all these resources, and then you send them back into the same home. So what we did, we gave focus to both, and, I can appreciate, they say despise not the day of small beginnings, but small beginnings help us focus directly and see directly what was needed. You have a child, where we took a child, one of our first ones, and he came from an alternative school, charges that, of course, related to, guns and violence. And we gave this child what we saw as hope, which we felt like, hold him accountable, but also give him hope. I'm going to make it real short because I know I only have 10 minutes. But you give them resources. You offer them employment. We have them get employed during the summer, but they needed a ride there. You give them mentorship. You get them back into schools, public school setting. You're tutoring them. They do need tutors, and you're having to tutor them. They're back on the football team, but you need a ride there. You have a single-parent household. It's like you want them to be active. You want them to be successful, but they need tools to be successful. You know, you have to take that mentorship to a whole nother level. Me being a single mom, it's kind of uncomfortable when you realize that your own household fall into those statistics. So I've sat in the JCPC meetings, and I've seen, like Dustin Pittman said, there is a need. The numbers are exceeding, but we can't keep just being reactive, you know? We have to get a little proactive. Like, consider the fact that, like, what we had to do was parental incarceration. That's a factor. You know, when you have a parent in a household, and children are seeing this, it's normal. You know, it's nothing. You know, we have to allow them to see something different. You know, pull them out of that environment. But parental incarceration is a factor. Siblings being involved in gangs. You know, some of these children that have been in these involvements lately, where the children have been killed, they're overdosing. It's not always children that are directly involved already in the system. So we try to tackle and provide services to those who have parental incarceration or fall into high-risk categories where the parents you may come from a single-parent household, or, you know, rural areas, like, you know, things that also need to be addressed, because it's not just creeping into one household or one area or one set of you know, race. It's creeping into all of our homes, whether it's your children directly or your neighbor or your friend's children. Like, I can't help but think about my son. I'm a single parent, but I was able to provide private schooling for my child where he was the only one. And as I was coming here today to speak, you know, I said, I don't want to prepare too much. I want to just come with my heart. And the thought came, and I remembered how my son and his best friend didn't even realize that they weren't twins. They both were missing the same teeth. So they call themselves twins. And I thought, that was so precious. I realized it's going to take a village to really help these families. And it's going to take us to be like children. It's going to take us to look at each other like twins, and see that we have things in common, and that it's not just an issue in one race. But to also not just wait. We can't just wait until a child is involved. You know, there's resources out here. We are here, and we are willing to go into those areas where we know they're there, where we know these children are living in these unfortunate conditions, and give them hope before they start coming tugging at our doors, or before they decide, all right, there's no food in this kitchen. I'm going to go out here and create opportunities for myself, and it's not a good alternative. They need close mentorship. Single parents households, fatherless households, they need to see what we have here. I look in this room even before, and I see that as a community we have what it takes to, you know, decrease those numbers. We are enough, but it's going to take us coming together, and I'm not here to ask for funding. I'm just here to say, hey, I'm here whenever we decide to come together, because we are, I believe it, to come together and create solutions. I just want to be a part of that solution. You know, I'm not just one person. There is attorneys that have said, hey, I'm willing to help, you know, because second chances just don't come with children. Some of their parents can't get jobs without even expungements, things that we're willing to do or make sure that they get done. We've had to come out of pocket and pay court fees, tickets, you know, things that are preventing them from having driver license. You know, just the small things that, you know, we take for granted that we have, some people don't even have. Like, you want to go to work. How are we going to get to work? There's bus. We have public transportation. Some people don't have $3. And it seems like how to some, but it is that serious. So I I realize that we all, one person can't do it. We just want to be an addition to.
Yeah.
So I just want you guys to know what services we provide and that we just want to be a part of the village.
Ms. Pete, excuse me, Ms. Chairman.
Yes.
Where are you located?
Well, I'm gonna be honest. I started out of my home. I woke up with a vision to just do, and of course, it started out of the home. But now we've partnered with the WA Foster Center, and we meet there regularly with these children on Sundays because we want them to be involved in the community during the week. So we still make sure that they're in their sports. We attend their sports functions. We want them to be active. So I picked a day that I felt Sundays would be the best because you can still do all that you need to do during the week, and that was the day that we meet with our youth. We meet with them from 3 to 6 at the WA Foster Center.
You just hit on a key factor. You said y'all want them involved in the sports, and y'all attend to support them.
Yeah, we have
You'd be surprised that parents. We had this discussion yesterday. That parents that don't support their children in sports.
Right. It's sad.
Not just sports, but just
anything. Well, for instance, we've even had kids who just say, "I want to be a part." They didn't fall into where they had justice involvement, but they wanted something extra to do, just to stay out of trouble and to gain more knowledge and to, and have a safe place to connect with like minds. As adults, we try to find our own nooks, but kids have done that too. We have one girl who has a 4.6 GPA, Wayne County, early college, and she's just I wanted something extra. And I thought it was beautiful that she volunteered, but it's not just even her, we've had to go there and attend her functions and her award ceremonies. And then I noticed there was other children who didn't have anyone in the stands. And it's you're running, you're on the track team, and it's exciting, but you lose hope when you have no one cheering you on. And then it's there's so many fights. I witnessed so many fights at these games, and I'm we need to just become more active. I've contacted males. I'm let's get to these games, because they see deputies, but they need to see fathers too. Someone to hold them accountable. I reached out to Eastern Wayne High School because that's where I attended, and I said, hey, I'm going to go through to try to get into these schools because, I sit at these games, and we need more of us. We need more of the community to help, to stop all this.
God bless you. I think this goes a long way with what Commissioner Williams has advocated, even when he was on the city council, activities for our youth and getting involved in their lives.
And he even extended a job at the ice storm for one of our teenagers.
Well, I want to just say, first off, I thank you for your sacrifice. I've seen her with the youth that we hired, with her children, right along with them. And, this young man didn't have a driver's license, didn't have a job, was at risk of not even being free. And she stuck with him. And she advocated for him. And he ended up getting a driver's license, getting a second chance as far as the judicial system, and being employed. And ended up being a nice young man that, I was proud, and driving himself to work. I was you have made some strides very quickly. And all it takes is someone like Ms. Peyton and others in the community that can do those things. I'm really proud of you. You sacrificed, you were selfless in doing that, and I think that, if other companies would partner with you when you have a child that may need a job, I think it's just going to change the dynamics here in this community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to add one factor because, I can't take a compliment without giving one back. But I say this to encourage all of you. That one child, he went back and he had to change his surroundings. he sent me text messages and screenshots of his friends that he had to let go of, and he said, I've been given too many resources. I can't, and looking up to these figures like you all, kids want to be you, so those things matter. Everything that you're doing, it matters. And our little ones, if they can't see it in the home, they will see it in you all. And I think that's beautiful, because I witnessed him saying, I can't. I have too many people believing in me. These attorneys, you put them uncomfortable when you got people at high figures saying, you can do this and I'm counting on you. So.
Well, thank you, and thank you for
Ms.
all you
Peters,
do.
can you give your contact information to anybody who may want to partner with you, anybody who may want to donate to your cause? Can you give that, your email and your other information out really quickly?
Okay. My email is the vision is TheVision of David @gmail.com. That's how you can reach us. We do have a following on Instagram and Facebook. And I will be in contact with all of you just to kind of help you remember me. I will follow up with the email and make sure that we stay connected.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Honeycutt.
Next, we do have an update on the Wayne Executive Jetport project by Jason Elliott, and also Brandon Gray is here with the airport, our executive director. So we appreciate y'all being here. Good to see you, Jason.
Yeah, you too.
First, I want to thank you for being here, because I think the community, I know the board needs an update of all of the work that has been going on at the Jetport over the last few years. So thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Jason Elliott with WK Dixon. Glad to be here this morning. Thank you for having me to talk a little bit about the Wayne Executive Jetport and its economic and overall impact to the community, and talk a little bit about some of the current and upcoming projects that are going on. You're very lucky here in Wayne County to have a great airport right down the road that is a valuable tool both for economic development and for servicing the community. And really, in the last 5 years or so, thanks to great leadership from the Jetport Commission as well as the airport director, really made a lot of strides at the airport. Looking forward to continuing to grow and see where that goes. Can I? We'll start off just talking about airports in general in North Carolina. North Carolina has long been proud of being first in flight and has always put a big value in airports. There's a quote that I like, that a mile of highway will take you just 1 mile, but a mile of runway will take you anywhere. That's true. I mean, it really can get you around anywhere from, even a small airport like you have in Wayne County. That doesn't have to be an RDU, but you can really get anywhere. So just talking about the economic development of airports and what they contribute to North Carolina overall. This was from a study done. The data is from 2019, so it was just before COVID hit. They're working on a new one that I think will come out in 2023, if I'm not mistaken, that I believe we'll look at 2021 figures. But based on that recent study that was done, $61 billion of economic impact to the state of North Carolina through North Carolina airports, 373,000 jobs that are tied to airports, $15 billion in personal income, and $2.5 billion in tax revenue. That's the overall, all the airports within the state. That's the economic impact that airports are responsible for. I don't know if you know this or not, but not everyone does, but there are 72 airports in North Carolina. 62 general aviation airports like the Wayne Executive Jetport, and 10 commercial service airports. 94% of North Carolina population lives within a 30-minute drive of a public airport, and that's certainly the case here in Wayne County. Where does aircraft that coming out of GWW fly or Wayne Executive Jetport fly? This is from 2020. This just shows flights leaving the airport and where they've gone. And keep in mind, some of these are probably fueling up and continuing on to, even further destinations. But it really kind of shows the reach, that you can have just from, airport right here in Wayne County to get anywhere, around the country that you need to. I think this gives a good little view of some of the flights coming and going from Wayne Executive Jetport. So looking specifically at Wayne Executive, from the study that was done based on the 2019 data, $58.2 million of economic output is attributed to the Wayne Executive Jetport. 345 jobs that are either directly tied to the airport or to businesses that are affected by the airport. $16.7 million in personal income, and $1.8 million in state and local tax revenues. I know as part of that, there's 45 to 50,000, I think, per year that comes straight to the county directly from property taxes. So we've been fortunate. We've just completed recently a couple big projects at the airport. A corporate area project to expand the apron and provide a place for corporate hangars to attract businesses, and also we're able to complete construction of a new 100 by 100 foot hangar at the airport within the last couple years. Currently, right now, there's a lot of construction going on. The apron pavement rehab project. So over the last several years, the apron pavement has been having issues of deflection. So a larger aircraft will come in and park on the apron and literally leave little divots almost in the pavement. It's been an operational issue for the airport, as well as turning away some aircraft or and limiting the growth potential. It's got to the point where the airport staff have to pull aircraft out of some of those divots that are left in the pavement at times. So we are currently under construction. It's going really well. Construction's currently being done on the north end of the apron, and then it'll shift over to the south end in a couple months. And also part of that is a underground fuel tank removal adjacent to the apron there. It's something that been looking to get rid of that for a while and kind of open up that area.
If I might add, this project particularly, just to give you guys some insight, your infrastructure, the jetport, was far surpassed the apron where the aircraft would park. So they could land on your runway, they could taxi on your taxiways, but they couldn't go park at the FBO to get fuel or drop their passengers off. The aircraft would literally sink in the apron. So this project gets the total airport up to standard to meet your runway. So your infrastructure is now in par. The parking area and the parking lot and the road, if you will, are up to the same level to take those larger aircraft.
Okay. And this project should be completed in August of this year. It's also being performed by a local construction company here out of Wayne County, so that's nice. Here's just a couple pictures from last week, actually. So just shows what's currently going on out there. On that north end, the pavement's been removed, and they're currently grading the dirt under there to get ready to install the new pavement section. Another project that we're getting started that is being funded through ARPA funds is a stream improvements project. There's a lot of drainage issues at the airport. This hopefully won't be the last drainage-related project to be embarked on there. But there's issues with that ditch exiting the airport and water just getting backed up. And recently there's a rain event that I believe water backed up onto the runway. That obviously creates a big safety issue of planes landing into water. That's not ideal by any means. And, you know, a legal concern as well. You know, that's not something you want, you know, to have happening out there. But also, one additional benefit of this project is that we'll be able to remove some trees that have been identified as safety issue because of being an obstruction to the approach path by airplanes. It's just a project that we're just now getting started, and it'll be you know, very helpful for the airport.
And this is the project that you are applying for state ARP funds from, is that correct?
This project will be using county ARP funds. The project you're referring to is another one that I don't have a slide for, but for the replacement of the sewer system and pump station, which is old and outdated. And I think there's been infiltration issues that's costing the airport money into that sewer. But that's another project that's on the be teed up pretty soon, I hope, and as well as some other drainage-related projects.
Okay.
Just a little summary of you've been very fortunate. Like I said, over the last 5 years or so, there's been a lot of progress made at the Jetport. There's been, this shows the two projects I mentioned before, the corporate area development, corporate hangar, as well as the apron rehab that's ongoing right now. Over $10 million in projects out at the airport, of which only a little over $800,000 of local match had to be provided towards those. So that's 8.2% of that $10 million that the counties had to fund towards these projects. So, you know, it's a pretty good return on that investment, in my opinion.
I'm a numbers guy, so this gets me excited for the nerds in the room like me. But what this means is, this is really neat because this is essentially, if you're familiar with a mortgage, if you put 10% down payment on a home, buy the home, well, that's what we've got here, but we don't have to make any payments. The money is basically free grant money that's been gotten because you guys have been supportive of these efforts. And there's been several instances where Jason's group has been able to find money from other counties that was allocated to other counties, but their counties wouldn't do their 10% match. And we were able to get that 90% money in to help this percentage. So you've got $10 million assets, $10 million worth of assets, and we've put 8% towards those. So that's a really neat slide to see. And we don't have these numbers exactly for the state because they're just hard to get and be accurate. I don't want to give any inaccurate numbers, but your airport's top 5 or 10 in the state for grant fundings, ballpark accurate maybe?
Yeah, outside of the public,
right?
The RDUs and
yeah. So the private county style airport. So you're in the top tier for sure for funding received in your county. That's a pretty good slide to show.
Mm-hmm. And there's more coming too. Each year the airport gets $150,000 from FAA, and over the next 5 years, in addition to that, will be an extra $295,000 per year from Bill, the bipartisan infrastructure law that recently went into effect. So there's a lot more money coming to the airport for upcoming projects, which will also have that 10% match.
that number as well, Craig will like this because of his budget, makes the budget easier, but the county's currently to date for this fiscal year about $110,000 worth of contributions to the operations of the Jetport for daily operations. So that number that Jason just brought up is almost 3 times your contribution to the Jetport. We're getting that for 5 years. So if you really look at it, you know, that's about 10 to 15 years worth of the deficit covered for the Jetport through these funds for projects that's coming up. So if that helps.
Real quick, just to look at over the next 5 years or so, some of the other projects that are coming up and planned in addition to what's already been talked about. T-hangar construction, the airport has a long waiting list of aircraft owners looking for somewhere to store their aircraft and to pay taxes on that stored aircraft. So, you know, by building a new 12-unit building, that's 12 planes that can be housed in that building. So that's coming up. Perimeter fencing is another, that's a big issue. Right now, there's about a 4-foot fence around the airport where that's even in place, but there's often deer and things, coyote, things like that. Cows, that's true. And clearly that's not safe to have animals like that on the runway. So that'll be a wildlife fence that'll be installed as part of that project. There's a phone system upgrade, and then a land acquisition for future development of the corporate area, and then expansion of the corporate area, the phase 2 of that expansion, and then some terminal building improvements also that are planned at the Jetport. I think, do you have anything to add? That's all I have. Any questions from?
Mr. Chairman.
Any questions? Yes.
Please forgive me because I'm not familiar with jet airplanes. What size of planes can land on the airport? I mean,
We just updated I think it's up to what, 67,000, is that right?
Almost 70,000 pounds.
Yeah. So it's a pretty large, it's like a Gulfstream type aircraft.
So business jet, 10 to 15 passengers is really optimal. That's really optimal. They can go bigger depending on their weight, but the runway is structured by the weight of the aircraft, so about 70,000 pounds is the max. But that's a large aircraft. I mean, that's not a 737 by any means, but it's a very large aircraft.
well, I can tell you this, when I was production control manager at Cooper Standard, we landed a lot of planes there at night, you know, picking up product, flying back to Michigan or Cleveland or Kentucky or somewhere. So I understand how important these airports are for our economy here in this county, to even bring in manufacturing and everything, because they've got to have these airports to move product.
And I mean, if a business is looking for somewhere to relocate to or move to, I mean, they're going to look at, you know, the airport, you know, do you have what's needed there? And you're in a very fortunate, you know, that thanks to, you know, being, you know, on the forefront of having space right now for hangars to be built. There are a lot of airports that don't have that, and that's a very valuable tool.
So one thing that you guys are all fortunate about is the vision's there. So when a corporate entity calls, and we get these calls a lot, hey, we're looking to build a facility, we need to be within 20 minutes of the airport, what services do you offer, do you have freight services, et cetera. So we go through all that, and the answer is always yes for you guys. But the main thing is, well, we need a hangar. Well, if we say we don't have space, but we'll build you one, that takes 3 to 5 years. They're not going to wait 3 to 5 years, they'll go somewhere else. You guys now have the capacity to say, yes, you can start construction tomorrow on your hangar. So the vision's there, and your infrastructure's there for the next foreseeable future. So.
Okay. Brandon, how much competition do we have from other airports? I mean,
Rocky Mount Wilson is probably our biggest competitor, but they're full as well. So there's not a lot of price competition. Some of the larger corporate opportunities we could negotiate back and forth between other airports sometimes. But in this environment, everybody's full except for Wayne County. So there's not a lot of.
Okay, I think Commissioner Gurley's got.
Is it permissible to like install conduits up under the apron from the FBO out to the grass area, like for future IT or cameras or?
So we are doing that. There's already some in place, and we're building a concrete enclosure with some extra conduit in there during this project.
Yeah, right now we're putting in a 4-inch four-way conduit that's concrete encased under the apron.
That way
it'll be empty for now, but it'll be
but
okay.
down the road, you don't ever know, and if we ever get fiber, that way we can kind of encompass all of it, security-wise or whatever.
Great.
Okay, anything else? Thank you so much.
Thank y'all.
Thank you. Keep up the good work. All right, and
Next, we do have the municipal clerk proclamation, and Commissioner Williams will be reading that.
53rd Annual Professional Municipal Clerks Week, May 1st through May 7th, 2022. Whereas the Office of the Professional Municipal Clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world. And whereas the Office of the Professional Municipal Clerk is the oldest among public servants. And whereas the Office of the Professional Municipal Clerk provides the professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at other levels. And whereas professional municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all. Whereas the professional municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government and community. Whereas professional municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the Office of the Professional Municipal Clerk through participation in the education programs, seminars, workshops, and annual meetings of their state, province, county, and international professional organizations. Whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the Office of the Professional Municipal Clerk. Now, therefore, we, the Wayne County Board of Commissioners, do recognize the week of May 1st through May 7th, 2022 as Professional Municipal Clerks Week, and further extend appreciation to our professional clerk, Carol Bolden, and to all professional municipal clerks for the vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent, dated this 3rd day of May, 2022. Thank you, Carol, and thank you, Kayla.
And are you making that in form of a motion?
I am, sir. Thank you.
Okay. We've got a motion on the floor. Any discussion on the motion?
I'd like to thank Carol for all she does. I mean, she's a first-rate municipal clerk, and I sure do appreciate her every day. Thank you so much. You're very professional, and you carry your title very well, Carol. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Carol, I think I speak for the entire board. We don't know what we'd do without you. So we really appreciate your hard efforts.
And also, Carol does a fantastic job, but also she's got good backup with Kayla and Della. So right, it's a team effort with them. And Carol, don't let this go to your head.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor of the motion indicate by raising your right hand.
Thank you all very much. I'm honored and privileged to be your clerk.
We had a public hearing that was scheduled at 9:15. We are definitely behind schedule, but we, at this time, want to go into the public hearing. So I open our public hearing to receive public comments on a proposal to ratify 2 agreements with Wayne County Development Alliance and the City of Goldsboro. Mr. Honeycutt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As the board is aware, back in June of 2017, we approved 2 agreements. One was for a shell building at Park East, and another was a industrial shell building at, the Goldsboro Industrial Campus on Paytown Road. The agreements were passed by both the city, WCDA, and the county But when going back and looking at it, we found out we never did a public hearing, which was needed to be for economic development agreements. So with the advice of our attorney, we've gone back and we've re-advertised. Want to make sure that we're clear and everybody's comfortable, and that's the reason why we went ahead and scheduled the public hearing again, or for the first time.
All right, is there anyone that would like to speak at our public hearing?
No one signed up, sir.
All right, this really was just a little bit of housekeeping, so to speak.
Yes, sir.
Just an oversight, and just goes to show you that even this board makes a boo-boo every now and then. So with that in mind, we'll close our public hearing, and we'll move on to the appointment committee.
Oh, Mr. Chairman.
I'm sorry.
Motion to ratify.
Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me.
2 agreements.
Wasn't it ratified before, and we just didn't have the public hearing?
We're going to re-ratify.
Yeah, just to make sure.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to ratify the 2 agreements with the Wayne County Development Alliance and the City of Goldsboro.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by raising your right hand. No, we're illegal again. All right, now appointments committee.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, we do have several appointments, and these will come to you in the form of a motion.
Okay.
Okay, we are motion to appoint Christie Harwell to the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council as Chief Court Counselor.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor of the motion signify by raising your right hand.
Okay. Next, we have a motion to appoint Wayne Sutton to the Wayne County Agricultural Advisory Board.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by raising your right hand.
Okay, now we have several members to the Ag Board. A motion to reappoint Deborah Worley, Craig West, Julian Acock, Eddie Fitzer, Harold Overman, and Johnny Best to the Wayne County Agricultural Advisory Board.
Okay, that's a mouthful. Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your right hand.
Next, we have a motion to appoint Emily Fine to the Wayne County Animal Control Advisory Board.
Okay, a motion on the floor. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your right hand.
Okay, and last but not least, we have a motion to appoint Miss Shirley Edwards to East Carolina Regional Housing Authority.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Okay.
And Mr. Chair, that concludes our
All right.
business.
That's all the appointments. All right, we're moving now to our consent agenda with the addition of 458, number 458, as well as a resolution in support of Project Berry. So we have what's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to accept the consent agenda.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Okay, now we're going to public comments.
No one has signed up for public comments, sir.
Okay. County Manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One of the big things I want to mention, and I want to thank our planning director, Barry Gray, and also Chip, our assistant county manager. Last meeting, they went to Jacksonville to meet with Golden Leaf Foundation and talk about the community-based grants initiative. And Wayne County will have $1.5 million available to us that is open to the general public for all 501c3s, our local governments as well. The thing about it is we have a fairly tight time frame on it. The grants have to be in my office by May 25th because we have to have them to Golden Leaf by June 1st. So Barry or Chip, do you?
Just like to add that the grant process is designed to identify projects with the potential to have significant impact.
Excuse me, Chip. Could you come right up here because this is important?
the application for grants in this, for Golden Leaf is designed to identify projects with the potential to have significant impact. It's a focused process with grants towards investments in building blocks of economic growth. Funds are limited to address job creation and economic investment, agriculture, and workforce preparedness. So it has to fall into those categories.
And if we could elaborate just a little on that, because when this first was announced, a number of nonprofits didn't quite understand the strings attached here. So I want to emphasize some of these requirements. So if you'd go back through that list in regards to job creation and so forth.
Yes, sir. Job creation, so a grant, if a project would have to provide additional jobs with stated salaries, you'd have to state those types of salaries. It could also be investments in economic infrastructure that would create jobs. Those are like your typical CD, your typical Golden Leaf grants. You also could be a grant that invests in agriculture, training, different programs in agriculture that are provided, or also in workforce preparedness or workforce development, such as through your community college could apply for additional funds. Yes, sir.
And one of the things through this process as well, and Chip, correct me if I'm wrong, if a private nonprofit has an idea if the grant will qualify or not, we can kind of help them through the process, and Golden Leaf can help them through the process and say, would it qualify or not qualify?
Yes, sir.
So if we're going to have all this information online, I appreciate the work that we met with Joel earlier in the week or last week, and Joel's going to help us set up a link on our website for all the information and a link to the Golden Leaf site. And we'll also put out, we're going to do some PSAs on the process and PSAs, trying to really get the word out. I think that's one of the big things that Golden Leaf wanted us to do, is to make sure we spread the word as much as possible. But all grants have to come back and be vetted by the county.
And I would assume that we have talked with the community college and with the school system in regards to.
We not directly, but this is kind of our kickoff.
I would ask you to reach out to make sure.
This is our kickoff really today of the process.
Okay.
And not only that, but also contact the municipalities, make sure they're aware of it. That was it.
Will they qualify? I thought this was 501(c)(3).
Or government entities.
Oh, okay.
Right. And again, we have, is it 4? We have up to 4 grants.
Up to 1.5 million.
Up to 1.5 million.
Well, I know that the community college is working hard as far as the new building and so forth, and that may be something that would qualify. Okay. Thank you so much.
But I want to thank Chip and Barry for attending that, and again, there is a tight time frame for turnaround. Again, please check online. If you have any questions, let us know. But again, May 25th is what we're looking at, because we have to have everything to them by June 2nd.
Are these jobs with benefits or certain pay level?
It'll be up to the applicant.
Yeah.
Propose whatever they're
right.
Okay.
Next, I did want to mention, please don't forget that Thursday is the day of prayer that we've all been invited to. It's at noon at Faith Free Will Baptist Church. It's an annual day of prayer. And just wanted to keep you on pins and needles. But at our next meeting, you will receive the manager's recommended budget. And then after you receive the manager's recommended budget, it becomes your budget. And we will have work sessions that we will set up through there until we get to the public hearing. But I did not want to go ahead and pre-schedule work sessions until you got the budget presented to you.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
But I will say, if you don't see a lot of us in the next couple of weeks until the budget's presented, We're trying to do a lot of different things and make sure a lot of different studies that we're trying to include in. So it's a busy next couple of weeks for us. And that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Board of Commissioner committee reports. Commissioner Williams.
Just want to make sure everyone remembers Mental Health Awareness Month. Like Ms. Peacock stated today, is very valuable, very important to recognize people and families that have mental health concerns. Also, it's Teacher Appreciation Week, so let's not forget about our teachers. You know, without a teacher, where would most of us be? Also, the Wayne County Summer Employment Program. We'll start to see more notifications really soon. Ginger is doing a great job. We have a new director, Ms. Pierce. We have a great opportunity to give these kids in our community, you know, some of the skills that they need and the importance of being employed. And I just remember my first job, and you know, and I think that this is really a jump start compared to my first job. I was raking leaves. I was, you know, cutting grass. You know, going to the grocery store, carrying people's, you know, food to the car. And so this is just a whole different level. So I just hope that the families and the kids embrace what this county, what this board is doing to try to help out. Also, don't forget National Day of Prayer. It's important. We all need it. Prayer changes things. Prayer works. So, and you know, I just prayed about something recently, and I got an answer immediately. And I'm like, man, what's going on here? You know, so it doesn't take years, months. You know, it can happen. Also, I'm wearing this shirt today, and it's, you know, it's against gun violence. It's against all types of violence. And what it says is, I don't know if you can see it or not, killing is so whack. And it is. We have to change the dynamics here. So that's all I have, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Norris.
Really nothing to report, Mr. Chair. I would just like to thank everyone for keeping me in your prayers. My health is improving, and just keep praying for me. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Foster.
No comment.
Mr. Barber Acock.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to thank the staff who put together the Employee Appreciation Luncheon last week. We really enjoyed it. I got to see a lot of people I'd never seen before, but I really enjoyed it, and thank y'all so much for getting it together, and really enjoyed the hot dogs and the hamburgers, and I would have ate more, but I didn't want to look like a little pig going up there, but, so I backed off. Also, I went on the farm tour on April 27th. I live on a farm. I have been involved in farm, but I even learned some new things, you know, when I went on this farm tour. And it was very, very interesting. And listening to the questions of people asking about where their food come from and things that I just took for granted because I've always knew where food come from because we raised food. But there's so many people that do not know where their food comes from. They think they can run down to their friendly grocery store and it's always going to be there. But where it begins is with our farmers. So we need to really put a focus on that. Our tourism committee, I was on that. Had our meeting last week. Our hotels and visitation has increased since COVID. So that is more positive for Wayne County to start seeing the increase in tourism and our hotels being filled and everything. So that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Gurr.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have several road projects that will be starting within the next 30 to 45 days to the tune of about 11 all-way stops or four-way stops across the county. We will be doing some improvements at Lock Haven Drive, which is a Waymore Drive section, as well as the realignment of Hood Swamp Road to 13. All that should start in the next 30. Well, it's supposed to start in April, but they're behind a little bit, but should start in the next 30 days. And to your point, some of us ain't moved on, we still cutting grass, so I appreciate it. Thanks, sir.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I apologize. I forgot to thank all the mothers. We're going to have Mother's Day this weekend, and, what would we be without our mothers? So, shout out to all the moms, shout out to my mom, shout out to the mothers who weren't birth mothers, but still took care of some kids and are taking care of kids in the community. Thank you.
Commissioner Hardison wanted me to make note that it is the North Carolina DOT that's doing all this road work.
Not the county, so don't call
Absolutely
us.
not the county. Commissioner Aycock.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Attended 2 or 3 of the work sessions for the upcoming budget. Appreciate everyone that has contributed to all of the effort that's gone into the budget. I also went on the farm tour that Commissioner Aycock mentioned. Actually learned a few things about farming in Wayne County that I didn't know, and I've been here all my life. And got, the details on the expense that the farmers is having to come up with now with rising cost of fertilizer, cost of seed, cost of labor. It's just, they've really got a challenge, and I commend them for feeding all of us here in this country and all over the world. Also attended the Junior Livestock Show and Sale at the fairground that's sponsored by the Wayne County Livestock Development. Had a decent turnout, but then again, this all falls back on farming again. This program over the last several years has got smaller and smaller. Used to have quite a few youngsters, participating, and it just, I don't know, just changing times, I guess. But that's a very, very worthy cause, an event that they have, and they get the chance to show their animals and then sell them, and the money goes towards their continuing their education. Also attended the employee luncheon, as was mentioned earlier. Great turnout. Thank y'all for your hard work. Location, A1. That worked out great. Just thank y'all again, and appreciate all the employees. And also, there was some extra effort having, we have employees that cannot come to the luncheon. We've got people that's working in very vital positions that can't leave their workstations, and thank y'all for making sure that they got their food also. Also tonight, the Wayne County Firemen's Association meeting, I think it's at Elroy tonight, correct?
I think that's correct.
Their meal is, they usually provide a meal. The meal is at 7 and the meeting starts at 7:30. And basically, I think that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. They just said that too.
What is that?
That's not for all 40
You want to make that announcement?
Oh, I just got this sent to me. I guess I can talk about this. Think about it. I better wait till next week.
Okay, you better wait. Okay. I don't have too much to report, but I do want to, as customary, designate the beginning of May 1st, as neckties are optional. So as we go through the summer months, we generally establish, especially here in Wayne County, as hot as it gets, that we do have neckties are optional. We are having a closed session. We're having a workshop after the closed session, and I think we also are having lunch. So with that in mind, we would need a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion to go into closed session for the purpose of
Purchasing property.
Okay, any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by raising your right hand. And we are in closed session.
Can we take a quick
Okay, we're back. We're out of closed session. One of the topics that we wanted to talk about was EMS subscriptions. As we were going through the budget process, I asked several departments to look at revenues in addition to expenses. And I think Dave has done some research and, or someone's done some research and come up with some possibilities. So, Craig, are we going to turn it over to Dave?
Yeah, we are. I'm sorry, I have to get a little voice room.
Well, you go.
But again, as the chairman said, that was one of the discussions that we had. Dave's done some research, and this is really kind of a paradigm shift of how we would be doing things. And we wanted to see what the thought process of the board, because it would take some work and some effort if we wanted to try to do that as far as this budget year. So with that said, I'll turn it over to Dave.
And while you're gone, a little bit more background here. Allison, can you pull up and see what this department is costing us at this point? Because we need to have that. We've got to recognize that, let me go back, 20 years? When EMS were volunteers?
Probably, yeah.
20
years ago when we took the base turned over, did away with theirs.
Yeah. So at that point, it was volunteer basis. All of that has come under the domain of the county, and the county now has absorbed all of the cost of operation.
Correct.
And at this point, and I don't want to use that figure quite yet, but we're going to find out what that total cost is. Their revenues are just not going to support that under our basic revenue plan.
Correct.
And that is basically we charge for ambulance service, correct?
Yes, sir.
And when you bill that out, you can bill all you want to. They're only going to pay you just so much. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So you do kind of give us some input on that as well.
Yes, sir. So
All right,
just,
I'll turn it over to you.
just kind of a back history. So April 16th, 1997 was the first work group to discuss paid county-based EMS service. So that was the starting point for everything.
And that was when?
That was April 16th, 1997.
97. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right.
And then we didn't implement any stations, but that's when discussions began.
Okay.
Yes, sir. During a recent budget meeting, we discussed the concept of subscriptions. So just kind of a background of exactly what subscriptions are in EMS. And we have a couple counties throughout North Carolina that use subscriptions. So what a subscription is they first come to us on two levels. They can be a required fee, or it can be a voluntary fee. And one of the common numbers that we're seeing around us in surrounding counties is $60. So I'm just going to use $60 as kind of the benchmark on this. So what will happen in this case is that, and we'll use the volunteer. A citizen would sign up for a subscription and they would pay $60 annually. Now this is what that would do. If they ever had to call 911, an ambulance would respond and that ambulance would provide care. And there's different levels of care. It could be BLS care, advanced life support care, or different levels of advanced life support care. The patient would be transferred to the hospital, and then ultimately a bill would be generated for the patient. Now, that's where the subscription comes in. The billing company would originally bill the insurance company for the patient. Now, just as you explained, the billing company, the insurance company is going to pay a certain percentage of the bill. Currently, the balance of the bill would then go to the patient to cover the cost of it. If they had the $60 subscription fee, the insurance company would be billed, and then any balance would be eradicated. Okay? That's where this process comes in. So again, the volunteer, you could sign up to a subscription, annually you pay it. What we're seeing in surrounding counties is that a one-time or an annual subscription fee on one household covers everybody in the household, to also include college students that may be away at college. The required subscription fee that we're also seeing in some places is a fee that's attached annually to the citizens. They pay that, and then it's the same exact circumstances. When and if they have to call an ambulance, they're transferred, they're treated, they're transported, The insurance company is billed, and then any remaining balance with the subscription is just, the citizen doesn't have to pay for it.
So how do you say it goes per household?
That's correct.
So renters, doesn't matter, I mean, how you gonna put a subscription to somebody that's renting?
That would probably, and this is just from all my research, what I think, I believe it would be the person that owns the property that would pay for the subscription.
So if you got somebody that owns 30 houses, they're gonna get a subscription for?
Yes, sir.
If they choose.
If it's the voluntary subscription. If it's the mandatory fee, then they would receive that. Yes, sir. Yeah, so what we're looking at here from a county standpoint is just with U.S. Census Bureau, about, 54,732 residents throughout Wayne County. And you all would have a better idea of that number.
Let me hear that again.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
54, U.S. Census Bureau says there's 54,732 households in Wayne County. I believe that was 20.
Is that the same crowd that said we lost people?
That was 2020. Well, not population, just households. Yes, sir.
Well, but, those are households.
Yes, sir. That's households. That's correct. Yeah, because that's in my research.
But some of these
that's what I'm seeing.
households are actually in rental units.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
So,
That's what I'm getting at. How are you gonna
differentiate? Yeah.
how are you gonna implement the pay process if you made it mandatory? Like a solid waste fee?
Property owner to pay it.
Huh?
If it was mandatory, it'd be.
Correct.
It would be no different, it'd be no different from fire tax. Correct.
And solid waste fee, is that the same thing?
Yeah.
Well, that's a good point. The solid waste fee, it is there. And
The sales issue is gonna be the thing. So you're saying $60 would bring in $3 million plus dollars?
That's correct. Using the numbers that I've given you there with the 54,000.
everybody signed
Yes,
it.
sir.
Well, if that was a mandatory deal, it would be, that's if it's a
that's
mandatory
if
thing.
it's a mandatory.
So, and they would pay what? If they had a ALS 2, how much would they actually pay?
Yeah, so that's a great question. There's charges that we have for this stuff. And so let's take, for example, what you're talking about, an ALS2. That is a charge of $899.93.
I got 928.70. Where you see that at?
The next page is, I've updated everything on the
He's
next
right,
page.
$899.93.
Yes, sir.
Which one?
That one.
Yeah, it'll look just like this here.
Okay.
Black and white.
Got it.
Fifth one down.
Yes, sir.
Got it. All right.
So depending on the insurance company, and they all vary, they'll pay different percentages of that.
Okay, so what's the low and what's the high?
I couldn't tell you that. Usually Medicare is one of the higher numbers that we see, but it varies from insurance company, and I just don't have that information broken
So
down.
you're thinking 50%? I mean, what I'm saying, I get what I'm getting at is collection rate wise versus the mandatory at 60, where are we at revenue speaking?
I think that the subscription of $60 would be to the benefit of the citizen as far as the balance. I think that's a safe way of saying it.
So the insurance company gets billed.
Correct.
And then the part that we don't collect off of this $900.
Correct.
Is the number you do in previous times, if we had this in place, would the revenue exceeded, if it was a mandatory at the 54,000 households, would it have exceeded the $3 million, you think?
Well, one thing is, we as a county don't bill these patients. We have a company that does all the billing things. So I want the citizens to understand that. And the second thing is, it would probably exceed that number.
the collections would exceed the 3 million.
Yes, sir.
So what we're talking is that we're gonna be going backwards. I'm just saying, we're looking at, trying to sustainability.
Yes, sir.
So I'm not supposed to talk,
Why aren't you supposed to talk?
So you're saying the part that the customer ends up having to pay, that the insurance doesn't, would be wiped out. But so we need to know all that is billed private to the customer, how much of that is actually collected.
So that's an interesting
And I would
question.
think that that's not a lot.
Well, it's a large range. We also have people that do not have insurance at all. So
Right.
that they would be billed directly on that as well. So we have just such a large range of insurance companies for our citizens. So for me to give you a clear-cut number, that would just be inaccurate.
I would think the 3 million would exceed that, just based on what I see.
On what they actually collect.
Right, with.
She can't hear you.
I can't hear you over.
You've already started there, you gotta come up there now, yeah, see there?
Just about what I see from private pay, which is most of the time the credit card payments, like I can tell the difference between when it's a person versus an insurance company. You don't see that much collections from private pay.
Well, that's what I'm getting at, is that $3 million based on the mandatory $60 per household, the part that we would write off per se versus what we're collecting, would that exceed the $3 million, or is the $3 million going to be or we're going to be better off with the $60, which would actually, in essence, help the resident if they use it, and also help the system.
That's correct, if that was the case. And again, there's such a large range of how people pay, it varies.
So we don't know the answer though, and there's really no way to figure it out.
Yeah, again, we range from people that don't have insurance that will have to absorb the entire cost themselves, all the way up to people that have an insurance company that will pay a high percentage of that.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
This, the $60 yearly pay.
Yes, ma'am.
What if you have a person that calls every month or rescue squad?
Yeah, that's a great question. Every 9, again, you create the subscription program for you. But what we're seeing in surrounding places is that it is good for any activations during the year.
Your frequent flyers, they get.
But you're writing it all
They're still
anyway.
gonna get a free ride.
They're still going to get a free ride. All we're doing is trying to do 2 things. One, it limits the amount that the individual is going to be billed, because they're going to be billed for the difference. One. Number 2, it will produce revenues to help offset the cost of operation. I mean, that's kind of the way I'm looking at it. 5.3. How much revenue did you show coming in maybe last year?
The last fiscal year, we had about $4.5 million come in. I'm taking without transfers, because that's what it would be costing us. So it cost us about $4.5 million last year.
So our subsidy, we basically are subsidizing your operation by $4.5 million. Am I correct?
And that was before the increases, so it's.
Now, that's after you collected all the money from the insurance companies, Medicaid, Medicare, all of the revenue coming in. We're still subsidizing. What this would do is to bring that down substantially by $3.2 million.
What's the 5.3 million?
That's what's budgeted for this upcoming fiscal year, so,
So after everything's collected, it's costing $4.5 million?
yes.
Well, let's clarify something though, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
We keep saying subsidizing HIBs. We're not subsidizing EMS. We are providing a service to the citizens of Wayne County that's costing us $4.5 million.
Well, agreed, but the taxpayer right now is having to carry the entire burden, basically. The property tax. What you don't, the property taxes are doing that. It just seems like other counties have recognized the escalating cost, and they have to bring in additional revenue. And the revenue that they're looking to bring in was supposed to be earmarked specifically for EMS.
Yes, sir.
And that's what this does.
So what does the actual whole system cost us then? Without that's the bottom line, 4.5 million.
So you just want to know the expenditures, like what the expenditures are, not revenues
Yes.
or anything? Okay, give me just a second.
I thought it was in the $8-9 million range.
It is, it's around, the upcoming fiscal year is like 9.8 million. Right now, in this fiscal year revised, 9.7 million.
So we're on 50%.
Yes.
When it's all said and done, this costs us about half.
Yeah.
So am I looking at it right, that it's gonna cost us somewhere in the neighborhood of about let's see. Yeah, about $1.7 million deal? If we would do the 3.2 based on the 1.5, is that what I'm looking at?
Yeah, about.
So you're expecting collections to be at the same level, the subscription fee would just be an additional revenue on top of that?
Yes, ma'am, that's
Okay,
correct.
okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Dave, what is surrounding counties? I mean, what are we basing this on? I mean, what direction is other counties going? Because they're in, there's 99 more counties facing the same situation we are.
Yes, sir. So in my research, there's just really two counties that consistently popped up that were doing this, and that's our neighboring Johnson County and Wake County. And I know that there is others doing it. It's just, access to that data was just not easily as available. So, Chairman, Mr. Daughtry, our ultimate goal is to provide this high level of care without the huge financial burden on the taxpayers and the patient itself. I think that's what we're shooting for at this point. That being said, EMS, as Ms. Allison stated, EMS is an expensive service. It's an essential service, but there is a price to it.
And it's going to get more expensive.
So we're trying to accomplish that continued high level of care without that additional financial burden.
Is Johnson County at $60?
Yes, sir.
Are they on mandatory?
No, sir.
They're not?
No, sir.
What is their collection?
I don't know. I don't have access to their collections.
So $60 per household.
Yes, sir.
And, okay, just to make sure I get this right. If I get a bill for $900 and they're going to pay $450 of it, I'm responsible for $450.
Yes, sir.
If I've got a $60, if I pay that $60 for my family at my house, am I responsible to pay that $450?
No, sir. Bless you.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's the kicker, just like everybody knows. I mean, it's going to be basically, you pay $60, and if you get in a wreck, I mean, that's honestly,
like insurance.
but that's a cheap insurance.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
They're using $60, but that could be a little bit more, right?
Yes, sir. Those are just the numbers that I'm seeing. And the other thing that's very important to point out here is, reading a lot of the wording in this, some of the wording is this does not, this resource will not be available to people without insurance. Reasonable and medically necessary, the transport has to be deemed reasonable and medically necessary and cover all other requirements. So there's a lot of additional wording in this. To just say that automatically it's going to cover the cost, that's not giving you the full picture here. And again, this is what we're seeing in other counties, and this is all public information here. There's no secrets to this.
And you're getting all kinds of calls, but if you got a radio, you listen to it. There's no telling how many a day. They call 911, they won't rescue, and when they get there, you get a refusal.
That's correct.
That's a non-billable.
Depends on the circumstance of the call.
If a paramedic goes.
If the patient themselves or a family member were to call, then there is a bill attached to that. If there is a motor vehicle accident, some passerby calls, we have documentation on 4 people, and I handle these calls on a daily basis. Somebody from the accident says, look, I didn't call 911, but I received a bill on this, and we'll contact our billing company, and that's just not right for them to receive a bill for that service.
Is there any county that's got a mandatory fee that you know of?
Yes, sir.
Who's that?
I believe Carteret County has places within it that has a mandatory fee.
They do.
Yes, sir.
I tell you,
How much is it?
I don't remember.
Joe, how much is yours?
I think it's $80.
I don't remember
I think
what it
it's
is, but it is mandatory.
Yes, sir.
Well, $80 would be 4.3 million, wouldn't it?
Based on that, the households that we gave, yes, sir.
My question that I have is, I see the charge, I see the collection. Billing anything, I can charge you double, but that doesn't mean that that's what the service is going to pay.
That's correct.
So why are we even charging double if you already know that you're not going to get that money?
Because they're going to pay half of that.
Yes, sir. So these are all, they come to us from recommendations from the billing companies we work with.
So, I don't understand why a billing company is giving a recommendation of double charging. Because if you just charge straight up the $464, why is the insurance company not paying that $464?
Yeah, that's a great question.
It just seems ridiculous to me. I don't understand that type of billing. It seems almost.
And I've seen it
in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? If you built the federal government twice the amount for something, you know what I'm saying, and it wasn't worth that. That's you're getting into a bad area right there, or anyone. You know what I'm saying? So I don't understand why it's doing that.
I think they raise it a little bit higher because they get that flat rate with Medicaid, and they try to get the higher rate through the insurance, and some insurances will pay different than other insurance.
That's correct.
And that's where they're trying to kind of make up that difference. So
I understand a flat rate, but double is still that's still
It's no different than the doctor's office.
I'm not saying that it is any difference. I'm just saying that just doesn't sit well with me.
But they charge.
As far as the mandatory, I don't know. You know what I mean? It seems a bit much at the time. You know what I'm saying? To make it mandatory, I like it. If someone wants it, I think that's great. I think it's a great service. But to make it mandatory is something totally different. A lot of people don't like to be forced to do things, and they feel like they're not going to use that service. So maybe you never know when you're going to need it. You know what I'm saying? But it's just the mandatory piece of it. I think I would. I don't mind trying it, but I would like to just see it put out as something. Hey, just to help you out in the long run. Something you can save some money in the future, save a bill from coming. But mandatory, I just don't. That just doesn't sit well with me.
Well, I think what we're looking at is the voluntary one. Is that not what we're really looking at right now?
So my main objective today is just to show you what it looks like, the different options that exist out there. And again, $60 was just a number that I'd seen commonly used.
Here's the issue I have with voluntary. You're going to have a whole new billing department to offer it, one, handle the customers, sign them up, billing it. If you do like Carteret is doing, and that is they are just having it automatically put on your tax bill, then that resolves that issue. In other words, I think you are almost going to spend the dollars that you would bring in on a voluntary basis. You'd spend that just for your bookkeeping and keeping that process going. And that's just my thought.
Sure, I don't know. You said that Wake County and Johnston County are doing it voluntary?
Yes, sir.
I don't know how they're doing it, but that would be something to look into, knowing that they're some of the fastest growing counties, where Wake is, I think it is the fastest growing county in North Carolina. Johnston County over the past few years is 100,000 extra people. That's why they're able to do some of the things that they do. So I think we should look at how they're doing it first, and then maybe come back to the drawing board on it. You know what I mean? Because they might have a simple way of doing it that doesn't require a lot of people or a lot of money to hire someone to handle that part of the process. That is only one county doing mandatory. That's great, and then you said that they're only doing a section if I'm correct, you said is it the whole county or a section of the county that they're doing mandatory?
So in the research that I found, is there certain exclusions to the subscription option?
Okay.
Yes,
so,
sir.
So it's some exclusions. So I would like to read those exclusions also.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Before I say something is mandatory,
Yes, sir.
because I mean that could be something totally different. You know, mandatory is mandatory. You know
Yes,
what I
sir.
mean? I don't know what the exclusions are, so I would like to look into that also. Yeah.
They have rescue districts,
Uh-huh.
similar to a volunteer fire department.
Oh, okay.
So that's what the mandatory is, it's a rescue district.
Okay, so I would like to look at all that also, but like I said, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, it could work, could be something that could help move things along.
Yes, sir.
But the mandatory piece is the thing that I'm questioning.
And also, Dave, correct if you noted that, Carter County's is mandatory, but I still get a letter from Emerald Isle Rescue.
Wanting some money.
Which I also get one from El Royal Fire Department in Wayne County too. But,
Yeah, so Carteret County, it's a great county. There's really good people providing good service, but it's unique in the sense that you're exactly right. There's various squads in EMS services that cover different districts. So if I have a map here actually to show you a breakdown, and it's multiple different agencies and fire departments. And just like Mr. Neal said, that cover these districts. So, you know, the thing that really concerns me about the whole process of pre-hospital care is I know through experiences that we have people having emergencies and they refrain from calling 911 or they drive in their own car because they know that there's going to be a cost to it and they're going to have to absorb the cost. And unfortunately, in some of these circumstances, we'll go to that residence 2-3 hours later and find somebody in cardiac arrest. And what bothers me about that is I know that had we gone there 2-3 hours earlier when they started having these symptoms, that this person would probably be alive. So, you know, at the end of the day, as you hired me to be the director, and there's a business side of what we do, but I'm also a paramedic and I have some concerns. I want people to get care when they need that care. Getting back to the original point, EMS, it is an expensive division, but it's a necessary division, so.
Oh, I agree.
Yes, sir.
You're definitely
Yes, sir.
We're just trying to find the revenues to.
Absolutely. And I really appreciate the opportunity to talk about this.
I think overall, even if we did it on a voluntary level, even if you didn't get most of the households to subscribe to it, I think it still would make an impact in savings. You know, so I agree with Commissioner Foster that, you know, it definitely, you know, some people may not want it to be, you know, where it's mandatory, but I think on a voluntary basis, you still can make a big impact on that.
well, why can't we try it on the volunteer basis? And if that is not successful, then we can address the mandatory later.
I think you're going to end up having a big cost in trying to implement it on voluntary.
I agree. I think that you lose the impact if you're going to, I mean, you're only talking about $60.
No.
What?
$60 is just, he's using that as a figure, but
Okay.
in my opinion, and this is only my opinion, it would be higher than $60.
Well, I'm just saying, let me use the figure of 60 since he used it. I'm telling you, you're going to spend $45 or $50 just in operational cost in order to produce the policy, notify, billing. I'm just saying, you're going to have to hire somebody to look after that, the administrative portion of it.
And then we're right back at square one.
Then you're right back to square one. You hadn't accomplished anything.
Well, I'm just going to say this, and it's my last time saying it. I know Wake County and Johnson County are moving way faster than what we are, and they're way ahead of us. So if we're going to look at what anybody's doing concerning it, I would look at them first to see what they're doing. I mean, that's the model. We're not trying to recreate the wheel. We're trying to find out how to move and how to move properly. So let's see what they're doing, go from there. You know, it's not something that we have to do today.
Agreed.
I would, what Commissioner Foster said is like the exclusion part.
Yes,
I think education is going to be the biggest factor if it succeeds or fails. You know, educating the public. We know about the sales tax issue. I mean, this is something that we got to educate the public on something that we might be implementing. So
Yes, sir.
So if you will, get us some more information. Let's find out how they're operating, how they're doing a voluntary program, what their costs are of operation administratively, and bring us back some more information.
Yes, sir.
And I think what you've seen here is that we're receptive to the idea.
Okay, perfect.
All right.
I do
Any more
appreciate it.
questions? Or we're going Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Are we going to talk about?
Yeah.
What?
Other issues. Wait, just before we get off of this subject, and this is not directly, we mentioned Carteret County, that there's mandatory. What is Wayne County's solid waste fee? $45?
Yes, sir.
Carteret County's is several hundred.
Well, they ship their stuff off too.
Well, I know, but
And
still,
you pay.
I'm paying.
Yeah, and you pay when you go over there. If you pull in, you're gonna pay.
But I'm just throwing that out too, so you start looking at the figures.
What are the issues?
I was just talking about the issue with
the pay?
Yeah. We need to.
I don't think we need to talk about that. I think he's aware of it, and I think that the staff is working on it.
Okay.
I think we got a plan of action, and we're just working through it as best we can. I do want to ask Craig to bring up some discussions that we have had with the city.
Thank you all.
Thank you,
sir.
And a possible working group solution. I have gotten a number of calls in regards to regulations by municipalities that are hampering growth in our county. And I'll give you an example. With one municipality, if you purchase a tract of land and it's wooded, then you are going to have to, and want to develop it, you will have to fall under their guidelines, which require the placement of 2 trees for every 1 tree that you tear down. However, if you have purchased the property and do not develop it for 2 years, then you are waived from having to abide by that regulation. Now, let me ask you, is that really business friendly that somebody wants to come in and build something, add to the tax base, but they have to wait 2 years before you actually develop it?
Took a rocket scientist to figure that one out, didn't it?
It did.
Isn't there a criteria there that says dense forest is
Well, my point is that as a county, we need to have some input in regards to possibly some restrictions and have at least some dialogue, some discussion. So I asked Craig, we met with the city, and of course, they recognize that these regulations do need to be looked at from time to time. So what the proposal is,
What the proposal is to have our staff, have Chip, have Barry, have one board member, is to have the city staff, the assistant manager, the planning director, one board member, to have somebody from Pikeville, Fremont, Mount Olive as well, to really form this committee and talk about issues that we're having with respect to development. And one of the things that I think I put in quotes one day, if we're supposed to be quote unquote business friendly, we need to act business friendly. So we've also asked WCDA to be part of it. We've asked the developers to be part of it. Say, what rules and regulations are out there that are causing problems, issues, delays that we're having? Is there a better way to streamline it? And again, this is not just the city of Goldsboro. It's not, Wayne County, we're business friendly, but we can always improve as well. So we want to make sure that it's as inclusive as it can be, but we wanted to reach out and want to start having these conversations because, again, time and money in projects and development may cost you projects. So we're working on that, but Hopefully, it will be an all-encompassing kind of group, and I was trying to pull up the memo that I sent, but I can't find it.
I can't find it either.
Well, most of that is communication between, because if you go and talk to most of them, you can work through about anything.
Well, and we just wanted to have a working group so that if there are issues and that you hear of issues or the city hears issues or Mount Olive or whatever, that collectively we can make Wayne County more business friendly. That's basically what it
Well, I
is.
think
It's not only more business friendly, there's property in the city limits, not only Goldsboro, but other cities, that can be developed for housing. But right now, it's not happening because of these restrictions, and the houses are being built in the county where there is no restrictions. I mean, that would relieve some of this losing farmland also, is because there's land in the cities that can be developed, but with some of the ordinances they've got, and I don't know what the reasoning behind the ordinances are. I mean, but that's part of the problem.
A lot of them are outdated.
Yeah, that's what
A lot of the ordinances and the rules and regulations are outdated. It's not business friendly. It's not contractor friendly. I've spoken to contractors that do business in the county, and it's an easy transition for them. Me even doing projects in the city of Goldsboro has been kind of challenging. I think overall they need to reevaluate how they deal with contractors and make it an easier transition when it comes from point A to point B, from starting the project, and I think if they can do those things, you'll see more business come in this area. I mean, people rather go somewhere else where they're not gonna have all the headaches. I'm looking at the county right now, you're seeing Ace Hardware, you're seeing all these places, Tractor Supply, pop up. And the city could probably be getting more of those businesses, but they aren't.
And like you say, some of the ordinance is probably outdated. I mean, they're doing what they think is the best for the city. But then again, times change. If you got to either lead, follow, or get out of the way.
Well, I mean, I don't know, but this is something that I brought to their attention earlier this year. Some of the problems that they have, and it's not business friendly at all. I mean, I'm just going to be honest about it. I mean, when you have to come in and put in shrubs on a new business, that makes zero sense to me. What are they there for? You know what I mean? You're just causing a problem later on down the road. You already have a problem with leaf collection and stuff around here, so why are you adding to that problem? They took a plan from Cary from years ago, and they brought it to Goldsboro, which made no sense to me. I don't know why you're trying to do what Cary is doing. We're not Cary. And it's caused a lot of problems around here. It's beneficial to certain people, but the business owner is not beneficial to. And that's who we want to start making sure gets the benefit of the doubt at the end of the day, because we want more businesses here. That's more jobs. That's more tax bracket. That's more of a tax base. Just so many things that could develop off of those businesses coming. So it's definitely something that I think would be a great thing to have that working group if we can sit down with them and all the counties around and all the cities around, municipalities around, and work together. I mean, Goldsboro is the center. You know what I mean?
It is.
And they're very, very important. And I think that, all of us working together just make it run smoother, bring more people here. I mean, we're trying to compete with counties that have twice the amount of people than us, which is almost impossible. You know what I mean? When we're not growing that way, but we can grow if we get the right businesses, get the right companies here. There's so much that we can do. So I think it's going to be important.
Well, again, the subject was something that most people did not want to bring up. Let's put it that way. But we broached the subject. We've had our first meeting, and we actually had support from the mayor and the city. Right. They actually say, maybe we do need to have that. So hopefully the working group will start the communication and start down a path of easing some of these restrictions.
And then when we had that meeting, I mean, I made a statement, I've been on this board going on, 10 years now. We'd never sat down with the city. I mean, and that's just as much our fault. I mean, it's not the city's fault, it's not our fault. But, like you said, Goldsboro, they're the hub. But the meeting was very productive. I mean, it was, I think they see where we're coming from and we see where they're coming from. They got a job to do. But then again, it's not Goldsboro, it's not Wayne County. I mean, it's all one county, and it was a very productive meeting.
I think a wise mentor, he said, don't worry about the little things, think of the bigger picture. And sometimes I think when you focus on the little things, you miss out on the big opportunities, and that's what I think Goldsboro needs to see.
Well, at any rate, I did want to let you all know that we're working in that direction, and with the help of the municipalities, we'll be rolling this working group out here very shortly.
Right. And you're going to present that to WCDA, I think.
That's correct. That's correct. So, anything else we need to? It's high noon. 30 minutes. Anything else? Am I adjourning this meeting or am I recessing it?
Adjournment. And then we have the facilities
at 2. But you do have lunch for us.
We have lunch.
We do have lunch. Okay, nothing else? We adjourn.